My ex-wife accused me of hitting her, and got me arrested. Her father and the police took her side. But I'm a double amputee, and now I'm suing everyone involved. I'm furious. I'm humiliated. And I honestly can't believe this happened to me, of all people. I'm not here for pity, but I need to know, has anyone gone through something even remotely similar? I get that it probably wasn't the exact same situation, especially from a legal standpoint, but maybe close. And before anyone makes jokes about how I'm even writing this, just know, there are tools that let you use a computer with your voice. Let me give you some background. I lost both my arms about 5 years ago in a car accident, both amputated around the biceps. It took me over a year to adjust, but I've been living independently for a while now. I've got adaptive tools for most things. I use my feet for tasks most people don't even think twice about. I don't rely on others unless I absolutely have to. The point is, I manage. Not perfectly, but I get by. I also have a 6-year-old son named Eli. He's the reason I made it through rehab and everything that followed. I share custody with my ex-wife, Anya. We've been divorced for about 2 years. Things haven't always been smooth, but until recently, it was the usual co-parenting struggles. Her family never liked me, even before the accident. They always acted like she was settling. After the accident, it got worse. They treated me like some charity case, like I was something to be pitied. So I kept my distance as much as possible. Then came the incident. I was dropping Eli off at Anya's house on a Thursday afternoon, just like always. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. We took an Uber because I wasn't wearing my prosthetics to drive. Eli had his little backpack, and I always walk him up to the door. He likes when I help him unbuckle his seatbelt using my feet, and I give him a goodbye nudge with my shoulder. It's kind of our thing. Our little ritual. Anya opened the door, and the moment I stepped onto the porch, I knew something was off. Her smile was stiff, almost forced. She said something like, "Don't take another step inside." It struck me as weird. I always just step in a bit to help Eli. Then out of nowhere, she jumped back and yelled, "Don't touch me." I thought she was kidding at first, but she kept yelling that I was being aggressive, that I was getting too close. She shouted something about calling the police. I told her she was being ridiculous. I wasn't even near her. I was standing at the edge of the porch. Suddenly, her dad came storming out of the house. I didn't even know he was there. He started shouting that I was laying hands on his daughter. Hello? I don't have hands. He was screaming in my face, telling me to back off and respect boundaries, like I haven't done this exact drop-off every 2 weeks without a problem. Before I could even react, Anya was already on the phone with 911, claiming I hit her in the chest and forced my way into the house. Let me be clear, I don't have arms. I was barely at the threshold, not even inside. There was no physical contact at all. About 10 minutes later, 2 police cars pulled up, 3 officers in total, 2 men and a woman. I stayed calm and explained everything, that I'm a double amputee, that I was just walking my son to the door, that Anya suddenly started screaming for no reason. By that point, she was sitting on the steps crying, clutching her chest. One officer asked if I might have bumped her with my body. I told him no. I stepped onto the porch, and stopped as soon as she asked me to. Still, everything spiraled. They arrested me. No further questions. No investigation. They decided I had somehow used my body aggressively. One of them even asked if I had rammed her with my head, like I'm some kind of goat. They didn't let me say goodbye to Eli. They shoved me into the car, not in handcuffs, obviously, but one of them said, "We'll figure that out at the station," like I was some kind of animal. I asked for a lawyer. They didn't read me my rights. I wasn't allowed to call anyone, for 9 hours. I sat in a cell with no food, no water, no explanation, and zero dignity. The next morning, my friend bailed me out. He told me Anya had a visible bruise on her chest and was telling people I attacked her out of nowhere. He didn't believe it, he knows me. But here's the problem, that bruise was enough for the police to log it as a minor assault. Now I'm facing charges. And Child Protective Services was notified about a potential domestic incident. Which means they're also reviewing my custody. How do I even begin to explain to a judge that I physically can't hit anyone? What am I supposed to say? Your Honor, I don't have arms. Unless I've suddenly become a Street Fighter character who headbutts like a mountain goat, this just isn't possible. It's insane. I've worked so hard to be a good father, to live independently, and not let anyone treat me like I'm broken, and now I'm being labeled dangerous for something I literally can't do. And the worst part? Anya's family believes every word of it. They're using this to push me out of Eli's life. So I need to know, can I sue the police department for arresting me without any physical evidence? Can I sue Anya for a false accusation? Are there legal protections for people with disabilities in situations like this? I didn't do anything wrong. And now I'm in the system like some kind of criminal. If anyone has advice, or if you've gone through something even vaguely similar, I'd really appreciate hearing from you. I'm not going to let this go. But right now, I don't even know where to start. But this entire mess only confirmed it. First, I got a civil rights attorney. Young guy, but sharp. He's worked several disability-related cases and took mine seriously from the very start. After hearing what happened, the first thing he did was request the body cam footage from the officers. What we saw made me sick. They were mocking me. One of them, while walking me to the car after cuffing me, said something like, "He's really playing that disability card, huh?" Another one muttered, "Just because he's missing arms doesn't mean he's not dangerous." At no point in the video do I raise my voice, threaten anyone, or approach in an aggressive way. The only thing I did was walk my son to the door. That's when she started screaming, stepping back, grabbing her chest like I'd hit her, and yelling at me to stay away. The officers showed up within minutes, like they were already nearby. The next thing I remember is being pulled, shoved into the squad car, and told, "You know what you did." No one asked for my side. Not once. Her dad showed up shortly after. That man has hated me since I married Anya. After the accident, it only got worse. I went from not good enough to a walking threat. At the scene, he called me a crippled psychopath and told one of the officers I'd been losing my mind for weeks. None of that is true. I've been completely stable with Eli. I have texts, timestamps, and visitation records to prove it. We also reviewed Anya's medical report, included in the case file. She claimed I shoved her so hard she fell into a wall, supposedly causing bruises on her ribs and chest. Here's the thing, I can't push anyone. Physically, I don't have the reach or the strength, I have no arms. And that day, I wasn't even wearing prosthetics, they were at the shop for adjustments. Even if I wanted to kick her, which I didn't, I wasn't even standing directly in front of her. Then a neighbor came forward. The guy across the street lives with his mom, and they've got cameras. His camera caught a wide-angle view of the porch. The entire scene is on tape. There's no shove. You see me standing by the car, taking a step toward the porch with my foot, and Anya suddenly throwing herself backward, yelling, hitting the porch railing, then clutching her chest. Zero contact. That video alone makes it clear what happened. But the worst part? The timestamps don't line up with her official statement. She claimed I forced my way in, but I never even crossed the threshold, not even close. Her own timeline doesn't match the footage or the 911 call. And it gets even messier. I found out through a mutual friend, someone who's quietly been on my side, that Anya had a fight with her boyfriend the night before. A bad one. Neighbors heard her yelling on the porch, and the guy stormed off. So now, it's very likely that the bruises were from that fight, and she used me as a scapegoat to cover it up. Classic move. I don't think she planned it in advance. But when she saw me there, she saw an opportunity. She never liked that I moved on, especially not with someone who treats me well and doesn't see me as broken. I think she hated the idea that I no longer needed her. And she wanted to remind me that she could still take away the one thing I care about most. Well, now she's the one with something to lose. My attorney already filed for an emergency hearing to get the charges dismissed. We're also moving forward with a civil lawsuit, against the police department for unlawful arrest, against Anya for defamation and false reporting, and possibly against her father for slander. I'm not letting this go. Not after the way they humiliated me in front of my son, treated me like an animal, and left me in a cell for hours with no phone call. Child Protective Services came last Friday. It was awkward. The worker was professional, but clearly looking for something. She asked about my apartment, how I prepare food, how I get around, whether Eli ever feels uncomfortable around me. I showed her everything, my routines, how I cook, how my adaptive tech works, how I handle bathroom visits with Eli when he's here. She nodded the whole time, but took a lot of notes. I could tell they'd fed her a story. But I also think she wasn't fully buying it. What's hardest to accept is how quickly people believed her. I get it, I don't look like a typical dad. I use my feet for everything. I drive with a modified steering wheel. I eat with special foot utensils. I write using a pencil between my toes. But I'm not helpless, and I'm definitely not violent. Still, the moment Anya screamed and pointed, everyone reacted. No one stopped to think about how I could have even done what she claimed. That's what hurts the most. She didn't just lie, she counted on no one believing me. She knew they'd look at a guy with no arms and think, yeah, something's wrong with him. She played the system. And for a moment, it almost worked. But now I've got the footage. I've got medical reports that don't match. Her story is falling apart. And I've got a legal team ready to make noise. I'll post again once we have a ruling on the dismissal or if social services makes any move. For now, I've got my paperwork in order, my lawyer on speed dial, and I'm not letting this go. She came for my dignity, and my custody rights. She's not walking away from this unscathed. But now those geniuses with no brain cells left have nothing to say. Anya deleted her social media accounts, probably because of the pressure. And just to be clear, I never wanted things to get to this point. But when someone tries to destroy your life and use your disability as a weapon, what are you supposed to do? Apologize? Let it go? She lied. Her family backed the lie. And now they want me to be the mature one? No. That ship sailed the moment they left me sitting in jail, without my prosthetics, being mocked for it. And there's more to come, especially with the civil suit moving forward. I'll post another update when there's more progress. But for now, I just want you to know, I'm not giving up. I'm not settling. Not unless the offer is ridiculously good. Update 3. I thought that after the criminal case got dismissed, things would finally start calming down. I really thought maybe, for once, we'd all act like adults. That they'd accept they were wrong. But apparently, some people just can't let go of the past. And by some people, I mean my ex-father-in-law. About a week after the case was closed, I went to one of Eli's soccer practices, like I always do. We don't miss them unless it's absolutely unavoidable. I arrived early, greeted a few of the other parents, and stood on the sideline to cheer him on. But this time, I had barely taken 5 steps past the entrance when a volunteer stopped me and said I couldn't be there. At first, I thought it was a misunderstanding. But no, they were serious. I was told I had been banned from attending games or practices due to a pending child custody-related assault case. Yeah. You read that right. Pending. The case had already been dismissed 2 weeks earlier, and publicly. I asked, right there, who filed the complaint. They wouldn't say, but it wasn't hard to figure out. Anya's dad sits on the board of the league. He's one of those retired guys who clings to every ounce of power he's got left. And he's had it out for me since all of this started. I guess if the courts wouldn't punish me, he figured he would, parent association mafia style. So I went home, called my attorney, and explained everything. He had the court documents proving the charges had been dropped. We thought we could pressure the league to lift the ban. But that wasn't enough for me. I've tried to take the high road with these people again and again, and every time, they find a new way to come after me. So I decided it was time to go on the offensive. That following Saturday was the first big game of Eli's season, one of those events where everyone shows up. The ex-in-laws were there in the front row, sitting in their little lawn chairs like royalty. And guess who else showed up? A process server. He walked right across the field during halftime and handed my ex-father-in-law the legal papers, in front of half the town. Served. Right there. No pun intended. He tried to make a scene, shouted that it was harassment, and threatened to call the police. But people were already whispering, and some were even laughing. The league ended up suspending him from attending games, for causing a disruption. Honestly, the only sensible thing they've done so far. The lawsuit we filed against him was for defamation and harassment. Nothing fancy. Just facts. He knowingly misrepresented my legal status to an organization I have every right to be a part of, and he did it with malicious intent. Meanwhile, Anya has gone completely silent. Rumor has it she broke up with the guy she was seeing. Some say she's back living with her parents. I haven't confirmed it, but I wouldn't be surprised. She doesn't respond to anything except through her attorney. And even those replies are getting shorter, more cautious. I think she's finally realizing this isn't going away. I also heard from a mutual friend that her family is quietly trying to sell their house. Probably trying to scrape together whatever they can. Because I'm not the only one suing them. Turns out they've made a lot of enemies over the years, neighbors, vendors, even someone they fired from their family business. People are watching them fall, with popcorn in hand. As for the league, they lifted my ban after my lawyer officially presented proof that the charges had been dropped and that their actions were based on false information. They gave me a half-hearted apology. But I don't need it. All I wanted was to sit in the bleachers and cheer for my son. And that's exactly what I did last weekend. He scored a goal, and ran straight over to bump foreheads with me, our version of a high five. Some people have asked if I'd ever consider going public with all this, podcast, blog, maybe a book. I've been documenting everything. But I'm not ready. Right now, I'm not looking for internet fame. I want a clean record, a safe life for my son, and to prove that being disabled doesn't mean being powerless. The lawsuit against Anya's father is just the beginning. The civil rights case against the police department is still underway. Depositions are coming. And yes, we want policy changes, public accountability, something real. And yes, I've gotten angrier over time. Not an out-of-control anger, a focused one. The kind that comes when you realize how easy it is for someone to manipulate public perception when they think you can't fight back. Update 4. It's been about 2 months since my last update. Things have finally settled down a bit, and I felt like I owed it to the people who've been following this mess to give you an update. In short, the lawsuits went forward. Everything played out exactly the way we hoped. And now, I have full custody of my son, and no intention of ever letting anything like this happen again. Let's start with the civil suit. It never made it to trial. The other side caved. The police department reached out through their legal team with a settlement offer after the internal affairs report was completed. They didn't publicly admit wrongdoing, of course not. But they did release a low-key statement through their press office acknowledging procedural errors during my arrest and confirming that policy adjustments were being made regarding arrests involving individuals with disabilities. Translation: they screwed up, they know it, and they're trying to sweep it under the rug without media attention. One of the officers involved resigned. Another was reassigned. Apparently, one was disciplined internally, which probably means absolutely nothing. Legally, I can't talk about the amount of the settlement. But let's just say, I'm not quitting my job, but I'm not worried about legal fees or therapy costs anymore either. More importantly, they agreed to completely expunge the arrest from my record, which is a huge win, considering the assault charge was a total fabrication from the start. Having that stain wiped away means more to me than any check. As for Anya, her legal team tried to drag things out for as long as possible. But the evidence was just too clear. She had already been caught lying to Child Protective Services. Her bruises didn't match her story. And the neighbor's porch camera video absolutely shredded what little credibility she had left. My lawyer requested full custody during the family court review, and we got it. Sole legal and physical custody of Eli, effective immediately. She still gets supervised visits, twice a month, held at a neutral location with a court-appointed observer. No more unsupervised handoffs. No more drop-offs at her house, only to be accused of something I physically couldn't do. That won't be happening again. As for monetary compensation, that's still a bit more complicated. There's nothing new to report there yet. Her father is still being sued separately. That case hasn't been resolved. He tried to file a countersuit for harassment, a complete joke considering everything he did. The court basically told him to stop wasting their time. That lawsuit is still moving forward. And I'm taking it all the way, not for the money, though it might cost him, but because this man spent months calling me a danger to my own child, got me banned from my kid's soccer league, and helped push a false accusation that nearly ruined my life. I'm not letting that go. He thought I'd take the hits and move on. That because I'm a double amputee, I'd be too dependent, too scared, or too weak to fight back. He found out just how wrong he was. On a personal level, things are stable. My son is doing well. His school counselor says he's adjusted better than expected. We've spent more time together than ever. Nothing fancy, just normal things. Building Lego sets, bedtime stories. But that's exactly what I wanted, to just be his dad. A lot of people have asked why I didn't just move on after the charges were dropped. Sure, it would have been easier. But when someone uses your disability against you, when they count on people seeing you as less capable, less credible, less human, you don't walk away. You fight. I don't think people understand how terrifying it is when the system turns against you, and your body is already being judged before you even open your mouth. The handcuffs didn't even fit me. I had to sit sideways in the back seat of the patrol car like a garbage bag, while the officers laughed and made jokes like, "Bet he kicks hard." I spent the night on a concrete bench, couldn't even get myself a sip of water. And every second of that was because of a lie. Not just a lie, a stupid one. Let's be clear, this wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a deliberate attempt to weaponize disability, ego, and reputation. And it nearly cost me everything. If it hadn't been for that neighbor's camera, I might still be in court right now, trying to prove I didn't do something that I physically couldn't have done. That's what hits the hardest, not just what they did, but how easy it was for them to do it. And how quickly people turned against me. For now, I'm focusing on what matters, my son, my health, and getting back to a normal life. I still see my lawyer weekly, mainly to close out the last part of the suit against my ex-father-in-law and Anya. That'll be the final brick in this nightmare. And when that's done, it's done. I'm not looking for revenge. Just justice. That's all I ever wanted. Update 5. Hi. I'm pretty sure this will be my final update. We're still following the new custody arrangement, where I have majority custody and my ex has supervised visitation. That hasn't changed. For those asking why my ex-wife did all of this, let's just say the divorce was ugly. She didn't like that I was the one who chose to leave her. And I'm almost certain she popped a bottle of champagne when I had my accident. There could be many reasons behind what she did. But I think what hurt her the most was that during the divorce process, I requested a paternity test. I want to be clear about that, because a few people have commented that if she was capable of making a false accusation like this, she might have committed paternity fraud too. That wasn't the case, and I believe it really pissed her off. But trust me, I had my doubts. As for the lawsuits, they've now concluded. Here are the final outcomes. My ex-father-in-law had to pay $11,000 in damages for defamation. I suppose I've earned myself a brand new enemy. But honestly, I don't care. It's not like he was ever an ally to begin with. As for my ex, she can add another reason to hate me. She's now out nearly $35,000. That, on top of the settlement with the police department, adds up to a pretty decent sum. So much so that I'm now considering buying a house, and adapting it to my specific needs. I'll probably spend the next few months house hunting, doing renovations, and finally moving in with my son. Having more space than this apartment will be a huge benefit for both of us. All that's left to say, is thank you. Because complete strangers, people who don't even know me, have supported me more than people I had known for years. Even the police, who are supposed to protect and serve, did the exact opposite. So, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Truly.